And welcome back into Tapped Out here on the BetQL Network with Brendan Tobin and Jake Noecker. I'm the sports machine, Sean Levine, and we welcome in not just friend of the show, super friend of the show, really good friend of the show. He is Marcel Dorff. He is Big Marcel. You can follow him on Twitter at Big Marcel24. I can't believe that I'm going to ask you this question off the bat, but I feel like it is the biggest news in combat sports right now. How much interest is there really in an Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg fight? Because Dana White himself, like the man, came out and said that it would be bigger than Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. I don't know if he was just getting a little excited, which happens sometimes, but as far as like public interest goes, do you think there is that much?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for having me on again. Difficult, man. I think it depends on who you're asking, probably. If you see, for example, how many fighters putting their name in their head by "can I train you, can I train you, can I train you," and I feel like it's a lot of like, I want to get my name out of there, and I want to earn some buck with training these guys, because those guys are rich as hell. So yeah, I don't know. Listen, me I'm more of a purist. If it comes to combat sports, I don't really care about it, But if they want to do it, do it. I have no problem with it. And Dana White, if he knows he can make a buck, he will do it. So it's that simple. For me, listen, I'm not really into how do you say that, into the celebrity fighting, the superstar boxing, the influencer kind of thing. I mean, I think it's a sport, it's a serious sport, And for example, imagine like you're an influencer, and you're a huge fan of football, the NFL. You're a huge fan, and then at a certain time you say like, you know what, I'm gonna be the quarterback for the New England Patriots today. I'm just gonna do it for this game. I mean, that's impossible, But at MMA, it's possible, apparently. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the thing that kind of irks me sometimes. But hey, people got to do what they got to do, and if they get the platform for it and they can make a buck out of it, who am I to judge? But for me personally, not really interested. Do I gonna watch it? I don't think, even if you don't want to watch it, you're definitely gonna watch it because it will be everywhere. You know what I mean? So, but I think there's definitely interest in it because those are very two well-known public figures, and people will tune in. So I would be surprised if it wouldn't be popular. So
all right, then let's talk about some actual fighters. Actually, this morning, Michael Chandler, he's a real fighter. He came out and he said he expects the McGregor fight to happen within the next 6 months, which is kind of a turn of face because, just a couple of weeks ago, you heard him saying that he doesn't know if it's going to happen and when is McGregor going to get back in the USADA pool. If you've got your crystal ball in front of you, if do you think that fight actually goes down?
I would say definitely not this year. It's something in 2024. I think and the thing is, like, it's actually sad for Michael Chandler, because I'm sure he wants to fight this year, but he knows if he takes another fight, this fight won't happen probably, and this is the fight where he can secure the bag. It's like that, if you fight Conor, you secure the bag, whatever you do, win or lose, you secure the bag. And those are prize fighters, and it's sad for Michael Chandler that actually he knows if he takes another fight in the division, which is likely maybe much more difficult for him to take that fight, and he gets less paid for it, because the Conor McGregor fight will do a lot because Conor McGregor is in it. Many people are still very interested in what he can bring to the table. So do I think it will happen? I said from the beginning, when the fight was announced, fun season, probably, fight's not going to happen. That's what I said when it was announced, the season. And we are like, now, when did it get announced? I think somewhere in February or March. We're in June now, almost in July. We still don't know. I think Conor is still not with the USADA or whatever. So, I mean, I don't know. At this moment, I'm not really hopeful. But I understand that Michael Chandler wants to keep the hope, because this is for him the biggest fight and the biggest payday he will probably get into MMA so far, So for him, I understand it fully, And you're focused on Conor. You have been with Conor the whole damn time during The Ultimate Fighter. I imagine right now it's a little bit like mellow, but I imagine it's going to be a little bit more face-to-face, how later it comes into the season, definitely with how it's going during the season. But yeah, I understand it. He wants to be hopeful, and you can judge him on it that he wants to be hopeful because he wants to fight, and I understand it. But if it's going to happen, I mean, do you guys think about it?
Oh, that fight's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm with you, Jake. Like, if it does happen, it's going to be longer than they're saying. Go ahead, Jake.
So Marcel, I see the background. You got the UFC 290 poster. Before that and after that, we're going to the Apex again twice. We got Apex this weekend, Sean Strickland, Abu Magomedov, and then afterwards, Holly Holm and Mayra Bueno Silva. I mean, it doesn't get more exciting than that. So my question for you is, are you loving these Apex cards, or are you ready to get out of there?
So those are actually two questions. Do I love the Apex cards? I actually don't. I think should be in front of an audience. That's what I think. Definitely now with listen, during the pandemic when they couldn't go anywhere, perfect. Right now it kind of feels like laziness sometimes.
Yeah.
That they're like, yeah, let's do it at their headquarters, easy. And for example, the card from this weekend, I have no problem with. I actually like the card. I think there are some good matchups on it. But that card after International Fight Week, the Holm Bueno Silva fight, that's a tough card, dude. That's really a tough card. It's like, listen, man, I know the guys and girls on the card, but I think if you ask a random fan, who are these people? They probably know Holly Holm and Terrence McKinney. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have no problem with a little bit less names on the card, but you gotta find a way in the middle. You know what I mean? Because that card is very rough, and I actually think the London card isn't as great as well either way. So
weak London card.
Yeah, and definitely the main event is clearly was going to be the favorite in that one. So that's not something I really like. I like at least give me a competitive main event, because the whole Mayra Bueno can be, I don't know. I'm not sure, if Holm does what she always does, it's probably not. But I mean, it can be competitive. It depends on what Mayra Bueno brings to the table. But yeah, I'm with you. The Apex cards is and you see a lot of people also hating on these Apex cards on Twitter. And sometimes a little bit over the top. But I understand sometimes as well. If I see the cards like, yeah, and if you want to visit one of those cards in the Apex, man, it costs you a lot of money. It's actually more money than just a ticket for some venue where an actual fight night is. So that's crazy.
We got Marcel Dorff, Big Marcel, joining us here on Tapped Out. You can follow him on Twitter at Big Marcel24, as if he needs a few more followers. Dude has like 80,000 of them. I just looked. All right, so Amanda Nunes retires as the GOAT. I think we can agree with that. Who's next, though? Like, if I asked you who's the second most acclaimed female fighter of all time, who comes to mind?
For me, it's still Chris Cyborg. And that's I think, and the thing is, the only thing that you can take away from Chris Cyborg is that she tested positive, and how do you say that, back in the day, But I still think she's super accomplished with what she did. She lost to Amanda, yeah, she did. But that's just one loss, and early in her career. But she's not coming back to the UFC. She's a Bellator. So, yeah, it's difficult, man. I think the division is wide open. Right now with Amanda going away, the bantamweight division. Actually, they were thinking about putting Aaron Blanchfield in that title fight, right, in New York, but they didn't. Yeah, I would say probably. You can have the winner of Holm, Mayra Bueno, and you have Pennington and Pena. I think many people think Pennington and Pena, but imagine Holly Holm does a great finish or does impress against Mayra Bueno. She still is a household and huge name if it comes to women MMA in the UFC, So I wouldn't be surprised if they say like Holly is fighting, and they can't do either. I think they will go down with Pena, because Holm against Pennington, we saw that 2 times already. And it was actually 2 times too much. But yeah, I'm sorry. Those were like the cage grab, not cage grabbing, but against the cage, and a lot of dirty boxing in it. Not really the kind of style of fight I like. But yeah, I mean, you can go a lot of ways. And I mean, this also for some new girls who can come up, who have their chances now. And that's the funny thing, I mean, you got a super dominant champion going away. It opens a lot of places for the other women in the division, and maybe you can actually see it as like with flyweight back then with Demetrius Johnson, when you had a super dominant champion and he goes away, and then it's much more open, because yeah, Brandon Moreno now is a champion, and I think he's an amazing champion. But it's not like we see Moreno against Pantoja that we're like, oh, Moreno is going to win that. He actually has 2 losses against Pantoja, an exhibition fight at Tough, and actually in the UFC. So that's the thing, man. It doesn't mean when the dominant champion goes away that it's not entertaining anymore. It can even be more entertaining, but we'll see, man. But to answer your question, what you actually asked, I have no idea who's going to be the next GOAT after her in the UFC. I have no idea, man. We will see. Maybe even, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if Shevchenko moves up again to 135, I think there's a very big possibility. It depends pretty much what she does to Grasso. If she loses again to Grasso, which is possible, I didn't expect it the first time to happen, but it's possible. Why not go to 135? Amanda is gone. She lost twice officially to Amanda. I personally had it one against one, but hey, I'm just one voice, so it is 2-0 for Nunes. And now she can go back up to 135, and I think she can get the girls a runner for their money there. So yeah.
You mentioned Pantoja, Moreno. You got both those guys over your shoulder, but I want to talk about the other guys. You got the guy over your left shoulder just staring right at me. Yair Rodriguez to your right is the champion. Alexander Volkanovski. Those guys going at it at UFC 290. Why is Yair such a big underdog? I know that he was, I get it. It's Alexander Volkanovski. To me, he should still be pound for pound number 1 everywhere. But Yair, man, I mean, at some places, he's like a 4-1 underdog. What's up?
I think it has definitely to do with the respect for Alexander Volkanovski by these bookmakers. I mean, Alexander has never lost in the featherweight division. He never did. His losses were at welterweight and at lightweight. So I know the second Holloway fight still irks many people because they think Holloway won. I actually have Holloway that one as well, but it doesn't irk me that much. I think he showed in the third fight that he was the better guy, and he deservedly was the champion. Yeah. He's super dominant. He actually doesn't really have a weakness, in my opinion. He's very good stand-up. His ground game is pretty solid. He has good submission defense. I think we saw that in the Ortega fight, which was nuts that he came out of that submission.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Crazy. So, and then Rodriguez. I mean, Rodriguez is the taller guy, obviously. But I think Volkanovski has a longer reach, actually, than Rodriguez, which is crazy to me. It happens sometimes, but it's kind of crazy. Yeah, I mean, fun matchup. But the thing is, man, if you look into it, Rodriguez is a special kind of athlete. I give him that. But man, I just cannot pick against Volkanovski what he showed so far, in the UFC, in the featherweight division. I know he lost to Islam. That was a weight class up, and it was a super close fight, So I cannot go against him, man. I have so much respect for the dude. I remember when he came in the UFC, I had my thoughts. I remember I picked Jeremy Kennedy over him. I picked Jose Aldo over him. I picked Chad Mendes over him. So it took me a long time to finally think like this guy is really good, and he proved it every time. So I mean, I cannot go against him. I just cannot.
Marcel, last question here.
Yeah.
I thought Sean would ask this because Sean pulled this rumor out of his magic hat, and then I actually saw it.
No, I didn't.
I saw it on Twitter.
Ask him.
You weren't lying. So Marcel, let me ask you, because you know everything. Is Ronda Rousey coming back to the UFC, and what are your thoughts on that?
I read that as well. I have no idea, dude. I have no idea. And I would be super surprised, to be honest. She's with the WWE, and I think she has a great job over there. She makes a lot of money. She doesn't get punched in the face anymore. That means not, at least not like as she should get in the UFC, and she's been away for a long time. I think how old is she now? 36, 37?
Yeah.
I would be surprised, to be honest. I don't think it's like, I think no disrespect to Ronda, because what she did for the sport and for MMA was great, but I think the sport has evolved, and definitely with the women. The sport really has evolved for the women, and we've seen that if you look at it's actually, if you look at the men when it started, the UFC in 1993. And you look at it 10 years later, do you see how less of a guillotine choke or a triangle choke? You barely only see that anymore. Maybe once or two times in 4 events, Back then, it was like 2 or 3 times every event, because you're more of a BJJ guy against a stand-up guy, And with women, it is also like evolving. You see less of one-dimensional. You see girls who are really also can grapple. can strike, you know. And Ronda is still really heavy on the grappling, which is normal. She's come from the judo background, you know, and she was, you gotta say, she was one-dimensional. She had some striking, but she was one-dimensional. But she was so good in that part of her game that she could beat these women all, you know. At a certain moment, she fought Holly Holm, Amanda Nunes, and that's where the point was, where you got more of these girls who actually can strike and can fight on the ground as well. Definitely Amanda Nunes, you know. Holm is also actually more of a striker. But yeah, I mean, if you got a good takedown defense against a good grappler, then the grappler can be in trouble, you know. So, and we see that all. Another good example, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, the Polish girl, you know, she's not a good grappler, but she's a great stand-up fighter, Muay Thai fighter, and she got good takedown defense, you know. So if you got good takedown defense and you're a good striker, you're probably going to do well if you don't get against a pure grappler, because put Bo Nickel against you and you're probably in trouble, you know what I mean? But yeah.
Love Bo Nickel. Really love the Boogie Woman. Really love me some Marcel Dorff. You can follow him on Twitter at Marcel Dorff, at Big Marcel 24. We'll bring you on here in a couple of weeks after UFC 290 to talk about it, because, man, that is an absolute banger of a card. Great stuff as always, man. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you so much for having me again, guys. And yeah, always fun to come on your podcast. And thank you so much, guys.